Tomasello, which Tomasello is on a new, different bracket that so how do you say this? It's like really refreshing because he's like done a bunch of stuff that I theorized that I don't have to do now.
Yeah.
Like I don't have to do that stuff. It makes me so like I was literally making a Red Bull pilot where I was doing skateboards that turn into other things.
Yeah.
And they were all very rudimentary. Like he has some knowledge from somewhere else of like how to pull pins out of things when you're flipping and whatever, that in another 10 years I would have gotten to. And it's so cool to watch someone do that already that I'm like, oh, thank God. Like that takes so much work and so much effort to do it just right. And I'm a little more avant-garde than him, that I would have done some crazy versions of it first. And then at some point arrived to where he is, where all he's done is taken one step away from skateboarding and gone, what if the board flips by itself, and then done it? So he's done what Richie does, where he puts really great creativity into the bracket that other skateboarders are like, oh, that's too crazy. No, that makes sense, actually. Like if you watch the comments on Tomasello's videos, it'll be like Zared Bassett or like Dane Berman, like somebody's like, oh, maybe you should learn how to control your skateboard better. And they're just kidding because they know he can do anything, right? Anyway, so back to Tomasello quickly. The thing I want to say about him, what he's accomplished in the last 2 years is, I wish I could accomplish something that amazing in that amount of time. Like, just congratulations on that. It's few people that, and I don't mean this in any sort of way except for exactly as I'm saying it, but there's few people that I want to interview and go, hey, how'd you do it, right? And that's one of the few people that I want to call them up and be like, so listen, I know a bunch of crazy concepts and I can make magic tricks and I've done all the whatever, but I don't get how the pin comes out of the skateboard when you do the, like, that's literally, if that dude doesn't have a dad or an uncle or he himself fabricating metal somewhere and knowing exactly how, come on, dude, that's not something that you go, I was in my garage the other day and I have a couple of old springs around. like, dude, it's mind blowing. You're like, yeah, but then it swivels, but then it's able to, like, the amount of tries where the skateboard is flipping itself and then the rest of the skateboard comes around again.
Yeah.
You're all, I would have been fine with one though, just the one flip. Like, it's so cool that he can be, like, for me, I want to be further from skateboarding because I just like stretching it and seeing what happens. I think it's so cool that he's made stuff like that that's so close to skateboarding that even, like, the pro is like, you did it. Like, you did it. Like, there's no one that's like, oh, man, you held that ollie north for, like, 6 months and then flipped it with your back foot.
Yeah.
No one's thinking, that's too kooky or that's too creative. And you know what I like too? It's all at a homemade skate park. The weird nipple bump thing.
Oh, that thing is disgusting. Oh.
But here's what's crazy is you're like, dude, if he did it as a fly out, people would be like, that's okay. It's a fly out. He did it off like a little kicker ramp. You're like, nah, it's all right. He does it off something that you're like, I'm not sure. I don't think that's a real bump that just is there, but I'm not mad. And then sometimes he almost lands in flat and you're still not mad because of what he did. And I'm like, congratulations, dude, because those are things I have trouble with, the borders of where to do it so that it looks right. And then second, where no one has a problem with like, it's not a real spot, or, oh, that doesn't look that cool. Like, congratulations on picking the perfect obstacle. Like, that is the perfect thing if you want to do a fly out and have people not hate you. It's incredible.
It's so interesting that, like, two things that you said. One, he's got to be a scientist. Like, it's almost...
Come on, I want to know.
He's got to be a scientist. Like, dude,
you have to. Done.
You were like, I would say it's interesting. Each person bridges, like, skateboarding into like a different gap. So I would say you are like more of like the free running parkour kind of skater. Richie is more like funky, kind of out there, but still doing like legitimate tricks, I think. And then you look at Tom and you're like, you literally enjoyed physics and you enjoyed engineering when you were a child. And you also just so happened to get in with a crowd of skaters. And somehow later in life you combine that.
Oh, dude, did you know he used to make video parts doing big rails and stuff?
What?
Yeah, so this got told to me. Apparently, he used to make those videos, big rails and whatever else, right? And then he was kind of like, well, nobody seems to be caring about this crap. Wait, I should go back to the drawing board. Well, think about it. You have all the skill, you have all the precision of doing all these big rails, which you have to have or else you die. And then you're like, you know what, I'm going to do fun, small stuff. Well, no wonder you can do it. And you're flying off that bump like chest high, waiting, just ollie northing for 6 months until you want to kickflip and feel like it. Of course you can do that, right? It's like child's play. He was probably kidding. He was kidding the whole time. He probably still thinks it's funny. Anyway.
Don't. You're so right. And talking about that nipple thing, there's certain obstacles that in my life I watch people do tricks off of. And there's one that's famous on the internet that's like almost like a bend of metal like this that has like a steep metal part. And people go up and will do like a tray flip or like a frontside flip and land back on the very thin bit of metal and come back down. That nipple bump is one of the things that I go, I don't think my reaction speed works fast enough for me to be able to pop off of that. I think I get launched and lose the board in the air somewhere before I even get a pop off if I hit that.
Yeah. You know what that bump is? That is the nipple bump that unless you skate that bump your whole life, you don't skate that bump.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you've seen people that are at the park and it'll be an obstacle that you're like, oh my gosh, this was made by someone who hates skateboarding. It's just like steep and like a weird piece of metal sticking out, and they're like back lipping it somehow, and you're like, yeah, that's, if you live here, sure. If you don't live here, it's tetanus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoyed this pod clip. Hit us with the Holy Trinity. Go to our Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, which is at Homie and the Dude. Like, follow, and subscribe to all of those. And thanks again, guys. Have an awesome day.